Today we are interviewing Matt Iseman, host of American Ninja Warrior and family member on Hallmark Home and Family.
I'm Matthew Royer.
I'm Benjamin Royer,
and this is Twinger Talk. Thank you, Matt, for sitting down with us today.
Dude, Twingers, I'm psyched. Pow, I love that, by the way.
Well, let's get to the questions.
Okay.
You have a BS from Princeton University
Right.
and an MD from Columbia University. That's quite an education.
It's impressive on paper, isn't it?
So, with your father being a doctor, did you have any pressure becoming one yourself?
No, honestly, I didn't. I think people always think that my dad that forced me into it, and it was the opposite. He never said you should be a doctor or anything. It was more, he kind of led by example. I think that my dad loved his career, and honestly, I didn't get started down the path into medicine until I was a sophomore in college, and so it kind of became one of those things where I had this crisis of, I don't know, I'm in college, I don't know what I'm going to do when I graduate. And I looked around and I saw how much my dad loved his job as a doctor. I was good at science, and the idea of helping people and being around people seemed to fit my personality. So on paper, it was the perfect career.
It must have been a tough decision to move on from medicine and become a stand-up comedian.
Yeah.
How did you break the news to your family?
So I took him to our favorite Chinese restaurant, South Garden, and I sat him down. And this was, I think, February of '99. You guys remember that time?
Yeah.
And it was it was something that I'd been feeling that I wasn't as passionate about medicine as I felt I should be. Because there are jobs, but I think medicine is a calling because people are placing their lives, they're in your hand, or in your hands. And so I kind of felt that I wasn't as passionate about it as I should. So I thought I was going to take a year to reevaluate and kind of clear my mind, thinking, some people will be a ski bum or, get in a van and be Isaac Caldero touring around rock climbing. And I thought I'd done stand-up a couple times, so I thought I'm going to make a break. And the hardest part, I think, for me, wasn't making the decision. It was telling my parents, sitting them down and just saying, I'm not passionate about this and I want to try something else. And it was hard to say it, but as soon as I did, they're like, whatever. My dad's first words were, life is short, do what makes you happy.
Okay, but was stand-up the type of comedy that you always wanted to do?
So I never, for me, I love stand-up. I love comedy. I always growing up loved it. I never thought I was going to be a stand-up. And so when I was doing medical school, I had a friend who took me to a comedy club, to an open mic. And he said, you should try this. And so I did it a couple times. And then when I moved out here, I don't know why. I don't know why. I guess I felt I was a younger brother. Which one of you is the younger one? Okay. So then so I always felt my older brother, I felt as the younger brother, he would sometimes beat up on me. And so the way I learned to deflect was with humor. Full disclosure, I never made it into the actual performing group. I got to level 4. And on my final performance, I got a phone. So you perform to see if you're getting into the Sunday company. And it was, I think, 2 weeks after the show, they call and they say, you're not advancing. And then 30 minutes later, I got a call. I'd auditioned for my first hosting gig, and they called and told me, you got your first hosting job. So it was a bittersweet day because the Groundlings, I got seen at the Groundlings. That got me the audition, that got me the hosting gig. So I didn't advance with the Groundlings, and I still have such respect for sketch comedy. And I think the performers who come out of the Groundlings are some of the best. We've seen guys like Phil Hartman and Will Ferrell, Lisa Kudrow, Pee Wee Herman. And so I wish I could have been there longer, but my time there was still cherished.
You did USO shows.
Yes.
What was that experience like?
It's amazing. I think my first show that I did for USO was September 11th, 2002. And I went to South Korea. And so obviously that was an important, it was a cool time to obviously the 1 year anniversary after the biggest terror attack in the U.S. to be going over to entertain U.S. troops was amazing. And, you know, having left medicine and being in entertainment, sometimes you feel that you're not doing things that are quite as important to the world. And to be able to go and perform for people who put their lives in the line to keep us safe is awesome. And I've been able to go to Afghanistan and Iraq and be in Saddam's castle and entertain people who are on the front lines. And it's amazing to see people who, how old are you guys?
14.
14. So, you know, guys who are 18, just like 4 years older than you, who are out there, who are putting their lives in the line, and then come back and you're doing stand-up comedy for them. It's honestly the best stand-up shows I've ever done, because you feel like this is important. To be able to entertain these guys and see them laughing, and women, and see them laughing and realize for a moment they forget that they're in Iraq and they're just people again. And you feel like those are great shows. And you get to ride around in helicopters and they'll let you shoot guns and stuff. It's pretty cool.
You've been quoted saying Brian Regan is a comedy inspiration.
Yes.
What about his style led you to have him as
So
so
one of the things I love is he's a clean comic. I tend to be clean, a little, you know. I always kind of imagine my mom's, because she used to come to all my shows when I was starting out in Colorado. And I love that he's clean. I love that he's goofy. I also think he's, I've never seen, there are a few comics who I've seen who can take a room and from the second they step on the stage, have people laughing uncontrollably and do it for an hour. And I remember the first time I saw him live at Comedy Works in Denver, I think it was 30 minutes in before I realized he hadn't cursed. And from the second he took the stage, I just found myself laughing uncontrollably.
Are there any other comedy inspirations besides Regan and others that you've mentioned?
Regan has been great for stand-up. Nowadays I love your fellow ginger Bill Burr, who I just think is another guy. What I love with comedians, I think, are people who found their voice. And you guys know, as performers, there are so many people who you look at them and you're like, oh boy, you're kind of imitating somebody, or you're acting like Kevin James or Adam Sandler or whoever.
You were diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis in your early 30s. What was that diagnosis like, and what have you done for treatment?
So that was hard. It for me, being an athlete most of my life, to when I was 30, I had the onset of symptoms, and to feel like my body was really ravaged by this disease. It's an autoimmune disease, so my body's attacking itself. And it took a year and a half to figure out what was going on, and to go from feeling like a vibrant young stud to an old man over a year and a half and being ravaged by it. It was hard. But so when I got the diagnosis, when I'm told after a year and a half of my body falling apart to be told this is what you have, it was actually a relief. And when you're to hear you have a chronic disease and there's no cure is not easy, but to know, all right, this is what's causing my pain, and now hopefully we can find an answer to it. It was kind of a relief for it. So for me, and I started on treatment. I was diagnosed in Christmas of 2002 and started on treatment the next week, and it was amazing. I didn't go back to being that super stud. It's hard to know looking at me. You'd think this guy looks like he could be an American Ninja Warrior. So physically, I never, I was never the same person, but energy-wise, I think my treatment, I'm on an IV treatment, so I'll go in every 2.5 months and get an IV, kind of like chemotherapy. And it's been amazing. It really kind of gave me my life back.
Thank you for watching this video.
If you enjoyed this video, like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below.
Thank you for watching Twinger Talk.